Hey y'all, so this is going over Project Mockingbird. Like I said at the beginning, I was watching, I think it was Tucker Carlson with Alex Jones, and that's what they were kind of talking about some of the CIA activities and stuff. And since we're already going through the CIA and the JFK files, I just thought it would be kind of pertinent to kind of see how they inserted themselves into like the news space. This is basically allowing them to tap the phone lines of some of these newsmen. It doesn't tell me who they are, or names or anything. It's somewhat redacted. But anyway, let's get started. It says subject salient facts concerning an article by, well, I kept saying redacted one, but it's identity one, identity two, entitled, and then it's identity 20 appearing in the Identity 21 on 29th of November 1961, Identity 22. And then on 7th of December 1961, Identity 22 advised that Identity 23 had called him regarding the Identity 2 article of 29th of November 1961 and expressed concern over the contents of the article. Identity 23 also mentioned that Identity 2 was the type of reporter who would write anything in order to sell an article and added that Identity 2 was a friend of Identity 11 and an FBI man. In recording to, in regard to Identity 23's reference to the FBI, Identity 22 explained that it was not clear whether or not Identity 2 had a friend in the FBI or a friend who was working for the FBI. Identity 22 continued that Identity 23 indicated he was going to discuss the article with Identity 2. Later on the same date, 22 contacted Mr. Bannerman and advised that 23 had contacted 2 and that 2 indicated that his source was someone in CIA who feels that the policy of the agency should be shifted to one which would not be harmful to U.S. interests. Number 2 added that he had material for 3 new articles, namely, the agency contributed money to a U.S. political campaign to defeat a congressman. 22's operation financed Owen Latimer's trip to Outer Mongolia, and there are 12 communists within CIA. You remember, CIA was made to combat communism, or the OSS, the Operation of Strategic Security, or whatever that was originally. Okay. And then when 23 showed 2 copies of Radio Moscow's playback on his 2's article, Identity 2 appeared shaken. Portions exempted. Okay. 23 is a friend of President Kennedy, and 25, and then 26, 27, and then all this stuff is like redacted. On 8th of December 1961, Blank reviewed the subject article and advised that the figure of Identity 28 was what? Something escorted by 1 or Identity 2 and Identity 1 was close to the current agency budget. I don't know what they put here. According to Identity 27, 20 copies of a classified booklet showing the budget breakdown were prepared and distributed as follows. Office of the Comptroller, Office of the Comptroller, Identity 15, Comptroller, DDS, DCI, DDCI, Vital Records, DDP, DDI, I guess, General Counsel, House Appropriations Committee, and then extra copies. Copies of the agency budget booklet were made available to a special group of House Appropriations Committee, which was briefed recently on agency budget matters. And copy number 11 was retained by the committee. This group included Representatives Cannon, Mahan, I don't know, Mahon, uh, Shepard, Ford, Tabor, and clerk in charge Crosby. Identity 26 recalled that another briefing on agency budget matters was given the Senate Armed Services Committee on 21st of August 1961. This briefing was presented by Mr. Dulles and was attended also by Identities 29 to 33. Committee members known to be in attendance were Senators Richard B. Russell, John Stennis, and Leverett Saltonstall. Also in attendance, but not a committee member, was Senator Mike Mansfield, Senate Majority Leader. Other members of the Senate Armed Services Committee are Senators, I think it's Strom Thurmond. That sounds familiar. Harry F. Byrd, Henry M. Jackson, Sam J. Irvin Jr., Claire Engel, E.L. Bartlett, Howard Cannon, Robert C. Byrd, Styles Bridges, Margaret Chase Smith, Francis Case, Prescott Bush, and J. Glenn Beale. As an aide in presenting the briefing on the agency budget, copies of the budget booklet identified above were given to those senators present and collected at the conclusion of the briefing. This meeting was recorded, and copies of the transcript and the handout were obtained from the Office of the Comptroller. It is believed that copies 12 through 20 were utilized for this purpose. However, no specific record exists which would confirm this. A review of the transcript and the handout discloses that the agency budget is referred to in numerous instances, and while the specific figure of Identity 28 is not mentioned, the majority of the figures cited are in the Identity 28 series, i.e. Identity 34 and 35. Unsigned memorandum. This is a memo containing an analysis of Identity 1 and 2's article entitled Identity 20, which appeared in Identity 21 on 29th of November 1961. It presents the article line by line and gives the agency's evaluation of the information contained therein. It is located under tab 2 in the project file. Let's see. 6th of November 1961, memorandum for Chief Security Research Staff. Subject, Identity 1, Identity 2 in the news column. Identity 14 advised that Identity 1 at the present time is occupied on some other business, and it appears that Identity 2 is doing the news column. This is in specific reference to the one that was picked up in a number of newspapers on 25th of October 1961, entitled Identity 37. The source of this information is Identity 38. It may be identity or identification. The item 13 or 39 is reported to have picked up Identity 1, Identity 2 column and ran an item on that. About the same time, 25th of October, there was a news item in one of the Identity 1, Identity 2 columns concerning the estimate on Identity 40. Acting Director of Security, did classified with portions exempted. And then all this stuff is blacked out. Memorandums for the record. Subject articles by Identity 1 and Identity 2 in reference to the recent articles attacking Identity 22 in the Identity 2 column. Identity 22 related the following. Identity 23 is a personal friend of Identity 22. Identity 23 talked to Identity 2, and Identity 2 indicated that his source was internal in CIA. When Identity 14 talked to Identity 23, it appeared that Identity 23 was under the impression that the source might be within CIA which was not nearly as positive as the reaction received by Identity 22. It is further stated that the individual feels that the agency is being improperly operated and that some of its activities are dangerous to the country. Identity 2 informed Identity 23 that he had material for 3 new columns as follows: that the agency contributed money to a political campaign to defeat a congressman, that Identity 22's operation influenced the trip of Owen Latimer to Outer Mongolia, and that there are 12 communists within CIA. When Identity 14 talked to Identity 23, he suggested that Identity 2 come to see Identity 14 and or Mr. McCone, and make known the identities of the alleged 12 communists in CIA. Identity 14 doubts that this will occur further when 23 talked to 2 regarding the recent articles on 22. He showed 2 the copy of the article, repeating 2's information to Europe, where they play on the financing of the socialist movements. 23 endeavored to convey that 2 was doing disservice to this government and the intelligence community. Reportedly, this shook Identity 2 up a bit. So okay, let me finish this last page. And then 14 has a number of letters addressed to Mr. McCone from the West Coast, indicating that they are accepting Identity 2 articles as the truth and are reacting to the effect that Mr. McCone is clearing up the agency. The impact of the articles is that they present or represent a true state of affairs. Okay, Director of Security. Okay, so for right now, I'm going to stop it here, and then I'll see. This may be repeating some of this stuff, but we'll just look at it. And then, anyway, if it's repetitive, and we'll just stop. Anyway, I'll get these loaded up hopefully today, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye.